Professor Agasa takes the detective boys camping. It is a beautiful day and they enjoy a view of Mt. Fuji as well as the newly built Nishitamashi Twin Towers, the now tallest buildings in Japan. Mitsuhiko asks Agasa if they can have a look at the towers on their way back and Agasa agrees. They set up camp and Agasa and Hibara prepare rice and curry for everyone. Genta chastises Mitsuhiko for not finishing his rice, saying there will be consequences from the gods, that's what my parents always say. At night, everyone sleeps soundly in their tents when Genta wakes up because he has to go to the bathroom. On his way back, he spots Hibara in a phone booth. He doesn't think there is anything suspicious about it and runs back to the tent because he feels cold. Hibara talks to an unknown person on the phone and says she will go to the Twin Towers and he will join her as well. Somewhere else, at the same time, Jin and Vodka finish a phone call in their Porsche 356A, though it isn't clear if they were talking to Hibara. Jin says they are going to the Nishitamashi Towers the following day. In the afternoon, the detective boys and Agasa return to Tokyo. Genta complains that his seatbelt is a bit tight and Mitsuhiko replies that that isn't any surprise, after all Genta ate 5 bowls of rice at breakfast. To pass the time, Mitsuhiko suggests playing the 30 seconds game. Players have to count down to 30 seconds without looking at a timer and whoever is closest, wins. Hibara and Agasa sit the game out. Mitsuhiko goes first and gets 40 seconds, Conan does a bit better, stopping at 27 seconds. Genta gets all the way up to 59 seconds and Ayumi manages a perfect 30 seconds. Genta asks Hibara who she was talking to on the phone the previous night and Hibara replies that he must have imagined that. They park in front of the towers, where, to their great surprise, Sonoko, Ran and Kagoro join them, having taken a taxi. Everyone decides to go to the towers together and Kagoro explains that he was invited by the owner of the building, his old college friend Mio Tokiwa. Chinami Sakaguchi, Mio's secretary, greets her guests in front of the towers and explains she is going to take them on a tour of the buildings. She says the Tokiwa Corporation uses all of the floors above the 31st floor and that she will first take them to the Tokiwa showroom on the 2nd and 3rd floor. Mitsuhiko tells Ayumi that Tokiwa specializes in software but deals with everything concerning computers. Yoshiaki Hara, an executive and programmer for Tokiwa, meets them in front of the showroom and presents his newest invention, a machine that can predict what someone will look like in 10 years. Ayumi and Agasa try it out first. Agasa looks exactly the same, but everyone is stunned by Ayumi's pretty appearance. Genta and Mitsuhiko try the machine out next and aren't sure what to make of their appearance as 17-year-olds. Sonoko and Ran decide to give it a go. Sonoko is disappointed, declaring she looks old, but Ran, Kagoro, and quite obviously Conan, who tries to remain inconspicuous, are impressed by Ran's photo. Kagoro says she reminds him of Eri. Mitsuhiko and Ayumi wonder about Conan's strange reaction. Conan and Hibara refuse to participate for obvious reasons, fearing they will be exposed by the machine. Kagoro forces Conan to sit down and have his photo taken and Mitsuhiko and Genta pressure Hibara to sit down as well. The machine takes a photo of them but then shows an error message, keeping Conan and Hibara safe. Sawaguchi's phone rings and she tells her guests to follow her to the 75th floor where everything is being prepared for the grand opening party of the towers. As they go to the elevator, Sawaguchi accidentally treads on Kagoro's toes and apologizes, embarrassed. Hara jokes it isn't a surprise that Sawaguchi is clumsy, she was born in the Chinese year of the boar after all. Sawaguchi gets everyone into the VIP elevator, which instantly accesses any floor of the building. She explains that the VIP elevator can only be entered on this floor and the 66th floor where there is a concert hall. Ayumi and Mitsuhiko admire the view as the elevator takes them up and say it feels like going straight to heaven. The reception room on the 75th floor is in a complete mess while everything is being set up for the party. Mio Tokiwa comes to join her guests as they get out of the elevator and introduces them to some other VIP guests. Hojui Kisaragi, a painter who specializes in the traditional Japanese ways of painting, Iwamatsu Oki, a council member in Nishitamashi who supported the building of the towers, and Hidehiko Kazama, the architect who designed the buildings. Kazama explains that he studied under Teiji Moriya, which instantly alarms Conan and Kagoro, but Kazama assures them that he doesn't plan on blowing his creations up at all. Conan points out Moriya wouldn't have approved of the towers, because they are asymmetrical. Kazama says this was intentional. One side of the tower they are in right now offers a perfect view of Mount Fuji. On the other side you can see Tower B, which is a commercial building with a hotel on the top floors. The hotel has a rooftop pool with a retractable roof. Oki, who is already quite drunk, asks Mio if he can't spend the night in the hotel, and she arranges for him to stay in a suite on the 67th floor on Tower B. Oki thanks her and says he wants to take her out for dinner, before noticing Mio's unusual brooch. She replies she got it as a gift. Kisaragi abruptly decides he has to leave. Kazama explains that the painter feels insulted by the way Mio treats his art. She buys his paintings and sells them for a profit without appreciating him as an artist. Hara hands chocolates to Ayumi, Genta, and Mitsuhiko and invites them to his house to test a new game he created. He tells the detective boys to visit him the following Sunday. Hibara decides to leave and Mitsuhiko approaches Ran in private and says he needs Ran's help. Ayumi also asks to speak to Ran in private. In the meantime, Sonoko still studies her photo when Hibara walks past, wondering if she should get a perm. Two Tokiwa employees get out of the VIP elevator and discuss a luxury car that just parked in front of the towers. They say it is a Porsche 356A, which alarms Conan immensely. He asks the employees to describe the car to him and is shocked when their descriptions match the car used by Jin. Conan hurries to the elevator and keeps an eye on the car as he goes down. The Porsche drives off as soon as he gets out of the building. The next day, Mitsuhiko meets up with Ran at a fast food restaurant and asks for Ran's help. He says he has a crush on Ayumi, but it is obvious that Ayumi prefers Conan. He is also confused, because he feels like he is developing feelings for Hibara and wonders if he's a bad person for liking two girls. Ran says there is no need for him to be ashamed and that he should treasure those feelings, but stay friends with both girls. Later, Ayumi meets Ran at a donut shop and confesses that she has a crush on Conan. She worries Conan has a crush on Ran as well. Ran doesn't believe that, but Ayumi insists, saying she watched Conan and female intuition told her Conan has feelings for Ran. Ran is amused how serious the children take all of this. That same night, Ran calls Shinichi and they discuss Conan having feelings for her. Shinichi laughs Ran's suggestion off. Meanwhile, an intruder breaks into Oki's room in the hotel on the 67th floor of Tower B, pulls out a knife, backs Oki into a corner and fatally stabs the politician with his knife before he escapes. As they were among the last people to see Oki alive, Inspector Magyar calls everyone to police headquarters to inform them of Oki's death and question their alibis. Chiba reports that Oki died between 10 o'clock and midnight and that they found a sake cup broken in half at the crime scene. Magyar says he has two theories about the cup's meaning. Either it fell out of Oki's pocket or it was a message left by either the murderer or the victim. Shiratori says the police have 5 main subjects. Because the building isn't open to the public, only Tokiwa, Hara, Kisaragi, Sawaguchi, and Kazama could have entered Oki's room and committed the crime. Kagoro puts a theory forward: Choco, sake cup, could refer to chocolate and point to Hara, who is known for loving chocolate. Magyar informs Kagoro that Hara is the only one among the suspects who has an alibi. The police don't really have a valid motive yet, but wonder if Oki's death had something to do with the towers themselves. Oki was an influential politician who made the city government give up their opposition to the building project. Conan asks if the sake cup couldn't refer to Mio Tokiwa because her brooch looks like it. Kagoro angrily objects, but Magyar says she is actually the current main suspect since she was staying on the 68th floor of Tower B, making her closest to the victim. Sonoko says the sake cup reminds her of the bowl used to mix powder in traditional Japanese painting. They realize it could point to almost every one of the subjects except Kazama and Sawaguchi. Conan tells the police officers that he heard Kazama studied under Teiji Moriya, but Shiratori replies that that doesn't make him suspicious as Kazama is nowhere near as much a perfectionist as Moriya was. Magyar adds that Sawaguchi maybe had a motive for killing Oki as well. Her father was an investigative journalist who was looking into Oki when he suddenly died from exhaustion. Sawaguchi was in her last year at university when she lost her father. However, there is no evidence that ties Oki to Mr. Sawaguchi's death. Conan sneaks another look at the photo of the victim hidden in Megur's notebook and notices that blood is suspiciously missing from a place where it should be. Hibara looks at the photo with him and says she has noticed the same. Conan quietly tells her he worries the sake cup could point to the black organization, but Hibara calms him, saying they would never leave such an obvious message. Out of the corner of his eye, Conan sees Genta, Mitsuhiko, and Ayumi having a quiet discussion and apparently agreeing on something. The three friends meet up at Baika Station to get ahead of Conan in their investigation, but Conan sneaks up on them, surprising them and makes them promise never to do anything this dangerous again. After all, they could meet a murderer. Genta explains he asked Hibara to join them. She declined, saying she had housework to do. Actually, Hibara spends the afternoon by herself and watches a gangster movie in the cinema, which reminds her a lot of herself now she left the organization after her older sister's death, because there is a scene where a man betrayed the gang and was killed by them while escaping along with his beloved younger sister. Mitsuhiko explains their plans to Conan. They are on their way to Kazama's house and plan to visit Hara the following day. Mitsuhiko says they also found out Kisaragi lives in a house he had built in Asahino, in walking distance from Kazama, and that he moved there 3 years ago. Upon arrival at Asahino Station, the detective boys first go to visit Kazama. Conan is impressed by the CAD system the architect uses to digitally design his buildings and models. Mitsuhiko starts questioning Kazama on Oki's death. He says he had no reason to be angry at the politician and was actually quite grateful for his support in the Twin Towers project and thanked Oki for it. Kazama also tells them about his son and that he has to call his family now. Conan realizes Kazama can't be the murderer as he was completely relaxed around them. Kisaragi is working on a painting of Mount Fuji when the detective boys knock on his door. He is originally furious with them for disturbing him in the middle of his work. Conan notices Kisaragi has the blinds drawn even though his house overlooks Mount Fuji perfectly. Kisaragi draws caricatures of all the detective boys, hands them to the kids with a grin and shoos them away. That night, Professor Agasa wakes up from his own loud snoring. He gets up to have a glass of water and overhears Hibara speaking to someone on the phone. The following morning, he calls Conan and says Genta told him something similar had happened during their recent camping trip. Agasa fears the organization has lured Hibara back in, but Conan tells the professor to trust her. Conan puts the phone down and meets up with the rest of the detective boys to visit Hara. Hara's doors are not fully closed, making Conan instantly suspicious. He takes his shoes off, sneaks into the apartment and they find Hara dead on the floor of his living room. Hara has a single wound in his chest that could come from a gunshot. Conan also spots a knife with chocolate cake remains on the floor next to Hara's body and another broken sake cup. The police arrive and Takagi wonders what the sake cup could mean. Shiratori says it is obvious that they're now dealing with a serial killer. Conan privately asks investigator Tome from the crime scene team about the cup and Tome points out that this one doesn't have any bloodstains on it, meaning it could have been placed at the scene after Hara's murder to draw attention away from the actual murderer. Shiratori and Megier update Kagoro on the newest developments and say Hara was likely killed between 5 and 6 at night a day ago. Someone apparently also wiped Hara's entire computer data. The remaining suspects are Tokiwa, Kazama, Sawaguchi, and Kisaragi. Megier says he wanted to ask Tokiwa to postpone the opening party, but she refused, sending 2 invitations to the party to the police instead. A black Porsche 356A parks in front of a block of flats and Jin steps out. He enters the building and meets with Vodka, who is searching one of the apartments, previously belonging to Akemi Mayano. Jin says they could use Akemi's computer to run a call tracing program to find out where Sherry is and Vodka switches the computer on. At the same time, Hibara gets up and calls Akemi's number, leaving a message about the party that will happen the following day. Jin's program is almost successful, but 3 seconds before it can reveal Sherry's current location to him and Vodka, the line is cut. Conan has secretly followed Hybera and pulled the plug. He chastises her for being so reckless, reminding her that the organization already turned up at the Twin Towers. Hybera runs back to her room in tears. Akemi's phone rings again shortly afterwards, but the caller only uses it to remotely delete Hybera's message. The following morning, Hybera explains herself to her friends at T10 Elementary. She says she knows she is doing something dangerous, but she misses hearing her sister's voice, and the only way she can do that is by calling Akemi's number and listening to her mailbox message. The detective boys comfort her and reassure her she isn't alone anymore, she has got all of them now. This is the end of part 1. Thank you for watching until the end of the video. Remember to like, share and subscribe to support our channel, and don't forget to press the notification bell button to not miss upcoming interesting videos. See you later.